Gunner ready, stable index.
Okay, welcome back to the Gunnery GHPC. Today we're going to just kind of do a kind of a walk around and how we're going to engage targets with the Bradley, right? So we're sitting here at Grafenwehr on the training range, and we'll just do a walk around in this vehicle here. So obviously this is the the M2 baseline 8.0 Bradley here. So this was our introductory Bradley. Since then there's been a number of upgrades, really too many upgrades, but we'll just kind of walk through this particular vehicle here and just kind of point out a couple things here. So I mean, obviously it's designed for supporting the infantry in armored formations. So we do have some level of armor protection here, but not a lot, right? Not a lot. You don't want to go toe-to-toe with tanks with this thing. This is really just to support the infantry. But your main objective here is to knock out bunkers, knock out other infantry fighting vehicles like BMPs and stuff like that. Now we do have the capability to defeat tanks, but we'll kind of get into that later. So just kind of looking at the front of this thing, let's see. So what we have here is the engine's obviously in the front, right? So, and it's actually kind of off-centered to the to the right side of the vehicle. So we can see the driver's hatch, those three periscopes. That's where the driver is. To the immediate right of him is, the Cummins diesel engine and the transmission. So this trim vane in the front here, it actually folds down and gives you, lets you work in the engine access area. Now the trim vane is part of the floating, they designed these things to actually swim them across, rivers and stuff. Look, I would never trust that. They had a swim barrier that would go all the way around, and you had to erect it, roll these things out, and put it up, and you could swim it across. I've never done it. I've never seen it done. I would not want to do it. All right, but the trim vane there, that kind of folds forward. To me, the main purpose was it allowed you to raise the engine access door, and you could stand on that trim vane and work in the engine. So, all right, these round things. I wish I had a mouse. I don't have a mouse here. So these round things here are the final drives. So you've got the engines kind of more towards the turret, then the transmission, then the final drives, and actually it drives these drive sprockets here in the front. All right. Kind of working around, we have an extra track pad there in case you were to break track or for whatever reason. There's a spare track pad there. Here's the diesel exhaust right here. Right, moving on down, there's the that's where you'd actually put the diesel in. That's the fuel cap. And then you have these round things here. These are actually firing ports. So from inside the vehicle, there's like a stripped down M16. It looks like an M4 without a buttstock, and it had a instead of a front sight post on it, it had like this threaded screw, and you put that thing in these from the inside pointing out and screw it in, and you had a 5.56 firing port weapon. So you had two on each side. You had two in the back, and then obviously two over here. So it never really took off, right? It's probably a great idea when you're briefing it, but it just never really panned out. I mean, I just can't imagine a situation where you're rolling that deep into enemy territory, maybe at an urban site or something, but for the most part, we never used these things. They were cool to look at, and they fired fully automatic, but just never really used them. Okay, so on top here, we see some periscopes, and that's to kind of give some situational awareness to the guys riding in the back. These hooks here, these are just like tow hooks. So you can, there's four of them, one there, there, and there. So, when you're putting these Bradleys on ships, you could hook into them, and a crane could just pick them straight up and move them over and put them on a ship or whatever. So, okay, on the top here is the troop true patch. So the main purpose of this true patch here is you can actually reload the tows from the troop area. So the tows are obviously in the back, the reloadable tows. So we had 2 in the tubes, and you had 3 to 5 in the back based on the configuration of the vehicle. If it was an entry vehicle or a cab vehicle or whatever. So to reload the tow, the gunner would have to put the turret in a certain position. Now let's just see if we can kind of do it here. So you would go kind of like that. Now let's look at it. That's kind of how you would put the vehicle in that configuration. And then when you lifted that troop hatch, the tow launcher was right there in your face, and you had to pull the old tube out, and then you would load a new tube in. Okay, and that's really a dismount task. That's an infantry guy in the back's task, is to reload that tow. So if you're ever on the battlefield, or you're watching Bradley's on YouTube and you see him like in this configuration here, he's looking like this. He's actually getting ready to reload his tow. That's what he's doing. So, and inside the turret, there's a like a tape, it'll tell you where to put the turret out for tow reload and what elevation to put the gun at to maximize, so that when the infantry guys pop that hatch, they don't have to kind of stretch and arch and figure out how to get this tow in here. It's kind of right there in his face. So and we have a couple more periscopes on the back, again for some more SA. Again, upgrades have come a long way. The configuration of the vehicle is pretty much the same, but we've added some new tools to give those guys in the back some situational awareness. So we won't cover that. It's outside the scope. All right, so we've got this kind of grill area here. You can put additional ammunition there. We have some Pioneer tools up there. You have your sledgehammer, your shovels, your picks. So when you're digging in your defense or your fighting positions or whatever, you've got those there. These bars here that you see strapped to the vehicle, these are part of the swim barrier. Now the swim barrier, you can see it here. It's along the between the armor and the hull, and it's actually rolled down. So what you would do is you'd roll this thing out, and then you would take these bars and stand it up, and it's looked ridiculous, but that's what they hit it for. All right, got another extra track there. That handle right there, that is for fire extinguisher handle. So the driver would pop out. If he has some kind of issue, the driver would pop out, and he could get down and he'd pull that handle, and that would kick off the halon inside the vehicle. So, all right, let's get up here on the turret. This is where all the fun stuff happens at. So these 4 little dots here we see are all on the bottom. There's 2 sets of them. Those are our smoke grenades. And the boxes just above them are where you put your spare smoke grenades. So if you shot a salvo out, you would, if you want, when you got a chance to reload, that's what you would do. You open those boxes up, reload them, and you were good to go. All right. Obviously, we got the M242 Bushmaster 25 millimeter chain gun right there. That's your main armament, right? So that's what's gonna, you got a 200 round high rate of fire, 100 round per minute low rate of fire, and then you got single shot on this variant of vehicle here. So inside the turret, there's a weapons control box kind of under the gun between the commander and the gunner, and just depending on the crew SOP who would pick that the rate and configure the weapons. But if you had a newer gunner, the commander would do it. If you had a gunner that was kind of jam up, he would handle all that stuff, right? Just a BA gun, right? I think it's like 22,000 mean rounds before failure, so you can just constantly pump rounds out of this thing. It's just a work of art, the inside of that gun, how it functions. It's not going to break. If something happens to the gun, it's something the crew did, right? Like the crew loaded the ammunition incorrectly, or failed to take some steps when they're loading it in the gun or something, right? It's something that they've done to make the gun jam. But for the most part, that gun is not going to mess up. You squeeze the trigger, it's going to fire. Okay. And coaxially mounted on the turret here is the coax machine gun. That's why they call it that. So it's 7.62, 240 Charlie. It's kind of accessed by the commander. It's kind of his. It's not his weapon, but the access panel is in front of him. So he's kind of the guy that loads it. If there's any kind of misfire or any kind of issue with the gun, he's got the commander's the one that's got to kind of handle that because it's in front of him. All right, moving kind of around the turret here, we have our antenna mounts right there. We've got some storage for ammunition. All right, that's what these racks are across the back here, mainly for 7.62. Right, I got the muzzle rack here. That's kind of where we store like our gear and our stuff we can just need to get to quickly. And it kind of separates us from the dismounts, right? So we can put our gear there. Typically, the dismounts would strap their gear to the side of the vehicle. Okay. So if they got out or they needed to get to their gear, there's just no room in the back, right? The dismounts, which you may have 5 dismounts in the back of your Bradley, they cannot stuff their gear in the back. There's just not enough room, so they'll strap it to the side. And we, as crew members, would put our stuff in the turret or strap it to the back of the turret. I did learn a hard lesson. I had a nice rucksack and I strapped it to the back of the turret. I'll never forget, it was a dismount. Needed some toothpaste or something. So he climbs up there, hey Sergeant, you got any toothpaste? Yeah, it's in my rucksack, just get it. So he gets into my rucksack and he leaves the straps dangling. Well, you know, obviously I didn't check it, so we get to doing something. Next thing I know, the strap gets caught on something on the hull and just ripped my rucksack all to pieces. So big takeaway is don't give anything to the dismounts, right? All right, moving on around, we get to the tow launcher here, right? So this is the tow up in the firing position. All right, and there's a method to the madness here, so let's get back in. So let's say we're in a defensive firing position. All right, let's pop back out and look. So if we look at it here, the 2 highest things on the turret are the tow, which is right there, and then we have the integrated sight unit, which is the day and night sight, just to the right of it there. And the reason that is if you're in a defensive battle position, you're dug in by the engineers. You could pretty much step off the top of the turret onto the ground. I mean, you're dug all the way in the hide position, right? But the tow and the ISU are actually up ground level, so you could actually fire from that position and not pull your vehicle up and expose the whole vehicle. So I can detect targets and I can engage targets with the tow at least from my defensive hide position. Now, if I wanted to engage with the main gun here, I would have to do a driver up, like drive up out of the hole, fire it, and drive back down. All right, but the reason I put the sight and the tow so high up on the vehicle is I could engage, armor or whatever with my tow from a fully protected defense position. All right, and if I'm in the defense, I'm not going to have my antenna up like that. I'm going to have it tied back. So the enemy, all he's going to see is, well, nothing, because I'm having camouflage, but that tow's going to come popping out of the ground, basically. That's all he's going to see is a tow smashing into him from the ground. So, good stuff. All right, again, this is the ISU here. We call it the doghouse. All right, you've got a day sight on the left side and a night sight on the right side. Okay, and I can close those independently. To the right of that is the auxiliary sight, and you'll notice that the aux sight is pretty much right down the barrel line there. All right, get this to work. So the aux sight, it's just an optic mechanical sight. It doesn't require any power. It doesn't require any coolant. It's not stabilized, anything. It just looks right down that sight. So if your ISU gets smashed for whatever reason, you still got this aux sight here, all right? And it's basically just like a World War II static sight with some stadia lines on it, and we'll look at that in a second. All right, to the right of that is the aerial sight, all right? So it looks pretty cool. The commander, he'll be sitting here, and he's actually got a commander's, commander's hand station that he can actually manipulate the turret. So if you see a helicopter or something like that, he can, instead of getting down and looking, he can be up top, have the whole field of view, and use that aerial sight to engage helicopters or whatever. It's going to be a pretty bad day if you're having to engage a helicopter. You know, hopefully you've got like your whole platoon shooting at him. I don't want to shoot at a helicopter, but it was actually a pretty cool sight because I could put the gunner on a relatively close to a target with that sight. So, you know, this, like, I'm pretty much looking as the commander would look here, right? So I'm looking. Oh, I see a target right there. I could quickly whip the barrel over to that target, and then I would release my hand grip and let the gunner take over. But using this aerial sight, it was pretty convenient to kind of get the gunner in the area. So on top of the ISU or the doghouse here, I've got these 3 little sticks. That's what we would put range flags in. So, you know, if you're on the range, like right now we're on the range, if we had no ammo on the vehicle at all, it would be a green flag up there. If I had ammo on the vehicle, I would have a green flag and a yellow flag. So if I'm in the tower and I can just look at a vehicle, I can kind of tell its status with the range flags. So, you know, when I pull up and I'm getting ready to fire, I go electrical manual safe off, I got the weapon loaded, I would take the green and yellow flag down and then put my red flag up. And the tower could look over and see, okay, this guy's ready to go. Obviously we're talking on the radio, but when you got 14 Bradleys out there, you want a quick, like, snapshot of where everybody's at. I could see who's got ammo on the vehicle, I could see who's on electrical manual safe, I could see who's ready to fire, all that just with the range flags. And if I had a malfunction with ammo on board, let's say the gun jammed up for whatever reason, I would leave the red flag up and put a yellow flag on, and that would let everyone know, especially like the master gunner or whatever, that would let him know that, hey, we got a Bradley with a malfunction, I need to go over and check it out. Okay? And that pretty much covers everything on the Bradley as far as the walk around goes. So let's go ahead and jump back in, and then we'll head up to the battle position here. Alright, and we're actually going to pull in the battle position. We're not going to pull in this red box just yet. So typically here at Grafton Deer, which I've been there before, it's a pretty awesome place. This is a battle position, right? We're on firing range. This is a dedicated piece of land for firing range. So I would typically pull up here like this. Alright, that's the first thing I want to do. And the tower is going to call down, they'll say Charlie 2-1. Go ahead and upload your weapon system, display your proper range flag, verify your left and right range flag, and call me when you're red convoy. Alright, so we would already have a green and yellow flag up. So I would go ahead and load my 25 millimeter. I would go ahead and load my coax. When I say loaded, I mean obviously the ammo is already there, but I got to crank it up into the actual gun, right? You're not supposed to do that until you actually get in this position here, right? So I would go ahead and do all that stuff. Once I'm done with that, I would put my red flag up, just red flag at all, so the tower, the tower would be back here somewhere. He could tell I was ready to go without me having to call him. One of the big things that happens on the range and pretty much in the military is radios go down all the time, right? So he may be trying to call me, trying to get a kind of like a status of what I'm doing. If I'm not answering for whatever reason, like my radio's messed up, he can at least look at my flags and say, okay, he's ready to go, but he's having a commo problem, or he's not ready to go, still got his green flag up, so something's wrong. So we'll send a Mike Goff down there to him. Okay, so we're here, so let's just pop down to the gunner's station. And what I want to do as a gunner is I want to look out here and just get a lay of the land, right? This is what I expect to see every time I swing this turret back and forth. I'm just getting the lay of the land. There's 4 battle positions there, a couple battle positions there. This is a battle position kind of right in the near the center, right? So, and I've got my stuff off to the right. I want to look at this in the day sight. I also want to look at it in thermals. So I want to get a good lay of the land in thermals. That way when I scan back, when targets appear, when I scan back across, something new's there. Like, oh, that wasn't there before in my initial scan, so that must be a target. All right. So we're in low mag right now, so I would always recommend scanning in low mag. You don't want to scan in high mag because you're just too tunnel visioned. And once we find a target, let's say this bush is a target, I'd get on here, I'd go high mag, and then I'm ready to rock and roll, right? So as a gunner, I wouldn't announce identified. We talked about that in fire commands earlier. Let's say the commander gives me a gunner Sabo PC, and there's the PC, I'm on it. I would not announce identified until I'm all ready to go, because once I announce identified, he's going to say driver up, and then we're going to rock and roll, okay? He's going to give me the command to fire. Okay, so, all right, so I've got a lay of the land, I'm good to go. So typically what would happen is once I'm good, I would back down to like right here. Alright, now I can still see what's going on. I can still see the range, but I'm in a hold down position. Alright, and in the real world, I would call back to the tower and say, Tower Charlie 2-1, we're Redcon 1. Alright, and then the guy in the tower is going to say, Roger, scouts report enemy new sector. They're going to raise the target up. Let's say this is, let's go back to this bush here. This is the target. Say a PC pops up right here. Now, let me back up. Before I call Redcon 1, we're going to do a crew check, right? Hey, driver, you good? Roger, gunner, you good? Me as a gunner, I would always start every engagement 1,200 meters with AP indexed, right? So right now, I've got my sight set for 1,200 meters. I've got AP ready to go. Even if I knew it was going to be a truck, I always started 1,200 meters with AP. That way I knew if I had to flip to HE, I just knew what I had to do, right? But I always started 1,200 meters with AP indexed. Always. That's where I started every engagement from, okay? So I'm 1,200 AP. Hey, this is Gunner. I'm Redcon 1. Roger. Call the tower. Hey, this is Charlie 2-1. We're Redcon 1. Roger. Scouts report enemy new sector. PC comes up. Gunner Sabo PC. Once I get on it, identified. He's going to say fire, and then we're going to do a driver up. And then once we're up, then I would fire. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, announcing on the way, obviously. The commander would say target or whatever. I could say target. Either one of us say target. Ceasefire, driver back. And then we would cease fire, and then we do a driver back, come back down. All right, and you would just do this over and over and over again, and then eventually you would move to another battle position, whatever, okay? So that's kind of how gunnery would flow. You would do offensive engagements where you would get out on that course road, and you'd move down the course road shooting targets, and you'd move into the next battle position to a defense. These are done day and night, so 10 engagements overall, and you get your score, and then that's how you do gunnery. So let's go ahead and shoot some stuff. Come on, look at this red box here. Alright, so before I pull in this red box, I'm going to make sure I'm good to go. So 1,200 meters AP, Roger. Toe is up. Now obviously we don't have anything to do with the toe going up or down. Anytime you pull into defense, toe goes up. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that. So here we are. I'm going to pretend I'm the gunner here, and I'm just looking. Looking. Oh, I got a PC right there.
Gunner Sabo PC! Identified! On the way! Target! Engage! Ceasefire!
Alright, so let's pause this. Hey, I found the pause button. Thanks to some awesome users in my comments. Alright, so tower announces, hey, scouts report enemy in your area. Roger, so we're looking. PC presents. You hear the commander say, Gunner Sabo PC. I find it. I say identified. He says fire. I say on the way. He says target, cease fire. Meaning, okay, we're done with that target. As soon as he says cease fire, I'm going to go back to low mag. Alright, I don't want to stay in high mag because it really restricts what I can see.
Traverse right!
Alright, we got another. Looking. There it is. And I think that's a little longer than 1,200, so I'm going to bump it up to 1,400. I'm going to send one round.
On the way! Target! Re-engage!
Alright, so that round was good. I'm going to send 3 more. Alright, and that's a kill. Alright, so that that first round is a sensing round, right? I'm going to send that first round. I'm going to guesstimate the range. I'm going to send one round, and I'm going to make an adjustment based on where that round landed at. Wherever that round lands, the strike of the round, I'm going to move that strike up to the target. So we're going to see that here. So unpause.
Traverse left. Steady.
All right, there he is. So he's
On.
way out there.
Identified.
So pause it. He's told me to go missile on this guy. I don't feel comfortable shooting a missile at a PC, right? Because I shoot all my missiles up, and then some tanks come over the hill, and then I can't defeat them anymore. Anytime I see a PC or something, even if it's long range, I'm going to index a longer range and just try to get the hit. All right. Internet says 242 Bushmaster is effective up to 3,000 meters. All right, so we'll just go with that because that's what's on the internet. Okay, so I'm going to index. I'm going to bump this up to 2,000 meters. All right, and I'm going to send one round.
On the way. Target. Re-engage.
Target.
Cease fire.
1, 2, 3. And that's a kill. All right. Now, the reason I'm sending 3 is because that's the kill standard for the Army. All right. If I hit him one time, yeah, that's a target. He's telling me cease fire, but I'm just kind of ignoring him because my brain is so programmed. I got to get at least 3 rounds in there. All right. All right. Okay. So we indexed 2,000 meters. Now remember, a Bradley, this variation of a Bradley does not have a laser rangefinder. So I'm not lasering these targets. All right, you can't. You have to manually index.
Cutter missile PC. Traverse right.
All right, so I'm gonna go low mag.
Traverse right. Steady.
There he is, right there.
On. Identified.
Now let's say I couldn't find him for whatever reason. So in my initial search, I don't see him. Let's go thermals, right? Okay, now I see some hot spots out there that wasn't out there before. Go high mag, and look, this is kind of how the thermal look on these older Bradleys. Kind of it was kind of trash. We didn't know any different. Now that we've got second generation FLIR on these things, and they're amazing. But here we can see it's pretty tough to see, right? So there's his PC. So let's crank this up a little bit. Let's say he's at 24. All right, I'm gonna send one round.
On the way. Target.
All right, that's a hit. 1, 2, 3.
Target. Re-engage.
And so it's commander's not satisfied yet, and now he is. But I'm gonna send 3 more. Okay, so we've probably achieved the kill there. Now again, I've killed the target. I'm going back to low mag, and I'm going back to 1200 because that's just where I live. All right. And page up and page down. That's what's giving me this. Range here. All right. So I think we're done at this station. So what does that say there? All right. So we're going to move over here and engage some moving targets. All right, so again, we don't have any kind of sexy sight in this Bradley. This is kind of an old school Bradley. So in this variation of the Bradley, we have to induce manual lead. I mean, we have to put it in ourselves. The gun passes the block right out. All right. So there's a target right there.
Gunner missile PC. Identified.
All right, so I'm putting the stadia line on the target, and I'm going to fire.
Target. Re-engage. Cease fire.
All right. So we're using our sight stadia lines as a guide.
Cutter missile PC. Traverse right. Target lost.
Looking right, looking right. All right, there he
Cutter
is.
missile PC. Traverse right. Steady.
All right, so you just want to get a good lead on him. And I think that's going to be good there.
Steady.
Target.
Target cease fire.
All right. So you want to get a good, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Like a good lateral lead.
Gunner missile tank. Traverse left. Heading on. Identified.
All right,
Fire.
so that's a tank. So that's tow all the way right there. All right.
On the way.
Let's stick that right between
Tracking.
the...
Target. Heat tracking.
You want to put that, look, you want to hit these tanks between the turret ring and the hull. All right, obviously you want to hit them where you can hit them at, but if you hit them in the front slope, it may just glance off. So I always aim right between the turret and where the turret and the hull meet. All right, if you're sticking in that turret ring right there, it's probably going to be a kill every time. All right, so we're in tow. I want to go back to AP 1200.
Gunner Stable tank. Come on. Identified. Fire.
Yeah, I don't see him. There he is. All right, we're going back to tow. He's way out there, right? So we're kind of looking ahead to make sure we got a clear shot.
On the way.
Listen, don't fly
Tracking.
the missile.
Target. Heat
All right.
tracking.
Listen, don't fly the missile. It said the missile starts janking and jiving left and right. Don't worry about that. Keep your crosshair on the target. The missile will eventually fly to the crosshair. I think a lot of times we see the missiles high, low, whatever. The missile will eventually get back to the crosshair. Don't fly the missile. Just keep the reticle on the target. Okay? All right, so right now we're reloading tows. I think. All right, I want to go back to AP 1200. And we're just looking. All right, so we've ended that. All right, so listen, I hope that helped. Some tips with the Bradley. I love the Bradley. I think it's awesome. Even this old school variation. When I first got in, when I transitioned from active duty to the Guard, this is what we had. We had the A0 Bradleys, and it was a hunk of junk. But it's still pretty awesome. I don't care. You could put that Bushmaster on a Volkswagen Beetle, and it would be an effective firing platform, right? So even though the Bradley wasn't as tough as it is now, even this configuration of the Bradley's still pretty tough. There's some tips. Look, don't go toe-to-toe with tanks. All right, you just don't have the armor for it. So if you find yourself, looking down the business end of a barrel of a tank, get out of there. Drive her back. Get somewhere. Start moving. All right, and then get somewhere, get some cover, and then employ your toes on it. Just look at the terrain, look at the map, identify where you want to be, and anticipate where tanks and armor and ambushes come from, and just don't go there. All right, go somewhere else. So I hope that helps. Some more Gunnery PCs coming down the road, but I just kind of wanted to talk a little about Bradleys because I'm just a fan, and that's what I'm coming to talk about. So hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Appreciate it.